Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Yosef Mordechai. Wow, running for records here. It is Erev Pesach. It is Chicago, and we have 5 people watching
live.
So there are times I give in the hotel, and there are less than that. It's just me on the wall. But since day one of MDY, the first day we had 8 people, and we never went lower than what I do remember. I do recall there was once that I was in New York, and it was the time that we had like 700 people at the shir. It was a different time that we had 1,500, but it was in New York. There was about 700 people at the shir in the Sephardi shul over there. And the following day I came to Chicago, and there was 7 people. They're like, Chicago always brings me down. It's geschmack. You work on your midas. You think the amamish. You think it's such a hot magachir, and there's 5 people here.
In your home city.
In my home city. That's why. Because it's my home city. So, Rabbi Isai, we have to learn zechus, what's going on right now. We just heard that Israel is attacking Iran, and there's different explosions and different things going on, and it's a Sarah. It's never an easy thing, and we really are learning now zechus, all those involved, that they should come home safely. Their lives are in tremendous danger, and all of the people in Israel, I can tell you that I just went through it. The fear that people have. We didn't know that they destroyed 99% of the missiles coming in, and we heard missiles. We heard the explosions above our heads, literally huge explosions. We were woken up by explosions. The whole neighborhood was woken up by that. And it's a certain fear that when you live in Chutz La'aretz, you're not really familiar. This constant fear of when is the next missile going to come, and what is it, and who is it, and are we going to be prepared, and who's going to die, and who's going to live. It's a certain fear that can't explain it unless you live through it. And our brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael should not know of any tsar, and they should go through Yom Tov b'simcha, not with worry. And the enemy should be defeated, b'karov, and Mashiach should come. That's the bottom line. Is we need Mashiach. That's the bottom line, because Mashiach will come. All this stuff will fly away. And all the tsars from Klal Yisroel, we won't know about them. But what we could do today, we could learn Torah, because Torah is huge, and Torah is a tremendous zchus. And we're going to be learning now. I'm at least going to have in mind for the soldiers on the front, for the pilots, and for all of Klal Yisroel. Ad Mosai Mutala Hapser. Yesterday we went through, I'll tell you today, because yesterday it's not my minute to say this during the shir. I'm in a chat for Magid Shurim, and a very big Magid Shir said that Daf Nun in Bava Metzia is the hardest daf in Shas to give over as a Daf Yomi Shir, Magid Shir. That's what he said. He really scared me, and the whole day I was sittering, and I'm not sure that I did a decent job, but we're over that sugi of Tagori Lud. I actually saw different stories of people trying to prove to non-Jews how hard Gemara is, and they chose Daf Nun in Bava Metzia, and big mathematicians couldn't come up with the right shot, and all sorts of stories about Tagori Lud. Obviously, I didn't want to start off the shir with that Akdama, and it went over pretty well. But okay, now we're actually in much easier territory. 4 lines from the bottom of Nun Amud Beis. Ad Mosai Mutala Hafzer. So the Mishnah says that if we're talking about, we got to do sponsors. We are in the English here, so hold on. Let me get back to the sponsors. Sorry. The Masechta is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Paras HaChodesh nishmas zechus ben nishmas Yosef. Paras HaChodesh Ahron Fraiman, it should be zchus to rebellion for continued siyadta dishmaya teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Paras HaChodesh Yosef Ben Chaya Sara for the zchusim that come from supporting limud HaTorah. Paras HaChodesh Binyomin Rosenfeld for hatzlacha in business and all my endeavours. Paras HaYoim Leulei nishmas Dovid Tal Or ben Yosef Mordechai, a bachur who was suddenly niftar. His neshama should have an aliyah. Paras HaYoim Avrumi Leibovitz, the famous Avrumi Leibovitz, Leulei nishmas, my father, Yisroel Ben Reb Yitzchak, Yortzai Yud Aleph Nissen. And the art of the month, anonymous for the zchus, for needing childbirth, for his daughter, and a healthy baby. We're in a sugya of oina. You're not allowed to charge or pay 16.6% less or more. You're not allowed to charge more, and you as a customer are not allowed to pay less, 16% less than the market. What about a guy that buys an esrog? It's very popular. You can buy an esrog in a box, in a closed box, and you buy an esrog, and it turns out to be a $500 esrog. You as a purchaser, that might be a story of, you are ripping off the guy that sold you the box. So
it's a risk. You're taking a risk when you buy.
Right, I hear.
It's like a surprise box.
Right, Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says it's a surprise box, and it's your game. There are those who say, though, that if there's a price in the box and it says this is a $20 esrog, this is a $100 esrog, and you found a $100 esrog in the $20 box, so it's not such a surprise. It's oina, and you have to return it. That's what some say. Ask your local rabbi. There's many different cases and situations. Ad Mosai mutal lahachzir. Says the Gemara. In the Mishnah it says, when can you return this oina? Until when you realize that you ripped off? How much time do you have? So the Mishnah says, you show it to a professional, you show it to your relative. Let's call that 60 minutes. You have an hour. That's only talking about the purchaser. He has an hour window. Like the Commodore 64. I already had an email. What's his name? Nat 101. I love you. I don't know who you are. Next time, please introduce yourself, because you have a lot of geschmack stuff throughout the year. I saw a lot of your artists' emails and comments. Whoever you are, I have no idea who he is. Anonymous, Nat, I think is Nat 10 something. It's not a Commodore 64. It's another computer. Okay, whatever it is. It's IBM 498. What was it called? 489, 589. Whatever. We get the idea. You have your entire life to take it back. Almost. We'll see exactly. Name him, say Eli. So he makes a distinction between a purchaser and a seller. A seller could take back the all day long, all year long, his entire life. Maybe say, perhaps I have it right. The famous Gemara of Lud that we had yesterday a number of times. Now we're not going into anything difficult. It's pretty simple. Now what? The Tagore Lloyd, the sellers, the merchants of Lud, they were very excited with the retirement, because the Mishnah says you only could take 16.6 more than the market. Comes with retirement, says no, you have 33% more. Super excited. Then they said, no, we don't like you. We don't like your 33%. Why? Because retirement gave an entire day for the person to retract. When he finds out, he goes home, he says, look what I bought. I bought this bottle of water. It cost me $3. His wife is going to say, what are you, crazy? That's 80 cents. So he goes right back. If it was 33%, great, but he has all day to show to his wife. So they didn't like it. So the Gemara makes a very simple cheshbon. Listen to this. Why didn't they like it? It goes both ways. What if they sold something and they were ripped off? The seller sometimes is ripped off, like by the estering, in the estering box. The guy from Lud, Tagore Lud, also has all day long. So he also gains. Why didn't they like retirement? It goes both directions. No, what's the simple answer, Rabbi Isai?
Seller has as long as they want.
No, so the Gemara is trying to prove that the seller has as long as they want. From the fact that they were upset, their retirement says he has all day, but hey, you just extended it for the seller also to all day. Elamai, it's a right that they have forever. But I'm saying that the Gemara is going to say the obvious answer, that the seller rarely ever makes a mistake. So for them, it was not good that they extended it from 1 hour to all day, even though it's good for them sometimes, but rarely do they ever have to use that extension. Most of the time, they want to lock in the deal because they know exactly what they're doing. They know they're ripping off their clients. They hardly ever get ripped off. That's what the Gemara answers. So let's just see inside. Yeah, it's a very simple thing. With Daf Nun Aleph Amud Aleph on top. That means we are 50 daf into Bava Metzia, which is huge. 50 daf. You can make a siyum right here. Actually, it's longer than a lot of Masechtas. We had Megillah, Tainas, it's close to Sukkah. Not really, 60 daf, 50 daf. But if you're telling me that the seller only has 1 hour, so who cares that they extended from 1 hour to 10 hours? Just like the purchaser, he got an extension. The moicher also got an extension from 1 hour to 10 hours. So it works both ways. Why are they upset? They are very sharp merchants, and they don't make a mistake. So I want to say this barabim. This bothered me a lot. There's a store in Ramat Shemesh, and I don't care if he comes after me. He's Israeli, but I don't care. He sells fruit. And I went to him a number of times, and I realized that either the person in front of me or me, he makes a mistake. He forgets to give you change. He forgets to give you it's 20 shekel he gives you. Never once, and I came home and I told my wife, I said, I just realized that he took 20 shekel more than he was supposed to. And when I showed him that he said, she goes, he does that to me all the time also. And I'm realizing that I've been there a number of times and the person in front of me complained. And this is his shtick. This is what he does. But what's interesting is he only makes a mistake in one direction. It's always that he forgets to give you the 20 shekel. Never once was I there that he made, I overpaid you. Sorry, here, give me back 20. Never.
Not even the first 2 times.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe the first 2 times. He gets into the store, he's such an honest guy, and he gives you extra. Yeah. Maybe. There was a store in the Lower East Side. It was called Yawang Chang's Toys. But toys is spelled Tois. So people would come in there and they would say, that's not how you spell toys. Sorry, but, just to be polite. She says, oh, really? But by the way, I have these headphones for $2. You want a headphone? That's how we sell people. You just get people to come in, tell them about the mistake. Because a Tagari Lord never makes a mistake. When you see a mistake like that, they're not making no mistake. That's deliberate. Says the Gemara, story. He was at a bread and breakfast from Bar Chama, and the guy from the bread and breakfast, the owner of the hotel, he says, listen, I sold wine. Chamara is wine. Uta. Chamara could also be, it's the same word as a donkey. Throughout Shas, it's spelled the same way. And you have to know, based on the story, usually the donkey is you can see where it is. If it's in a desert, it's a donkey. If it's in a store, if it's in a cellar, it's wine. So the Sfarim say that by people also, you could see a person and see by where's he hanging out exactly? Is he hanging out with good guys or bad guys? Is he sitting in shul next to this guy? Then he's a chamar.
Does he come to the daf shir?
Is he hanging out? Who knows where on Thursday night eating chol? Or he's doing the daf. Is he chamar or is he special wine? It happens to be that this sugya doesn't really say what a chamar is. Very, very rare. Maybe from the only times in Shas. Doesn't really explain what the chamar is, but we know that it's wine. And he made a mistake. Romi Bar Chama finds his balabas over there and he sees that he's very, very sad. Omar Leulei, so why are you so sad? Omar Leulei, Zavina chamar utoy. I sold wine and I mistook the whole price thing. Omar Leulei, Zil Hadabach. Go get your money back. Omar Leulei, Yosef Ben Chaya Sara, I can't. Why? Because I have a certain limit. I'm locked in. I have an hour. I have 10 hours. Whatever the time is, I'm done. We just learned that this seller can take it back and get it back as enough forever. What's the reason? The buyer he has the purchased item in his hand. Wherever he goes, he shows it. So he shows it to people say, hey, you made a mistake. The reason why the seller has forever, he doesn't have the purchased item. So it takes time until he finds that exact item, and then he can tell whether or not he had a mistake. But that's poshut that if he found that exact item later on, a month later, so his time limit is over. It's only because he never found that item, so he doesn't know whether or not that's the price or not. So the Gemara Avgavra do have a knocket of varshachel zbune. Oh, I have here. I want to read this email, so I'll read it now. From Yaakov Zaret. Remind everyone an easy way to bring the daf into the seder is to make the Reb Eli charoises. So I gave back in the day. I gave this recipe. I personally love charoises. A lot of people dislike charoises. I'm sure there's people that love it. But if you make it the right way, you could also learn to love it. 2 apples, 1 cup of wine, 1 cup crushed walnuts, 1 cup crushed almonds, lots of cinnamon, a very little bit of ginger, but you need dishmaya red wine. The trick is in the red. It has to be like kedem matuk, something like that. Like the sweet red wine. I made it last year and hope to do it again this year. Everyone loved it. Yaakov Zaret. Have a fantastic Yom Tov. Shkoyach. We go weiter. No, I was just looking for my. Here we go. Here's Varshachel Zabune. He had some silk garment to sell. Koreshito v'shavi chamsha. Check out this picture. He was announcing that he wants 6, but it was actually in the market. You sell this stuff for 5. So what is that called? I know. And if you give the guy 5.5, have a shekel, you take 5.5. Listen to this guy. The guy's amazing. He actually had one of the worst days of his life over here. He said like this. The guy is asking for for 6. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give him 6. Even though I could get away, I could buy it for 5.5. But if I give him 5.5, I lose. Why? Because anything less than a shtos, get to it. Oh, what happened? Oh, it just did. Here we go. Okay. Oina is exactly 16.6%. Less than 16.6. If I give the guy 5.5 instead of 6, mechila, it's green. I don't want to be moichel him my half. All I want to pay him is 5. I want to pay him market. So what do? I have a trick. I give him enough. I give him the 1 extra. Then I sue him. I say, hey, you took enough. And he's going to have to return the whole full extra. If I give him 50 cents extra, then it's a mechila. If I give him a whole $1 more, and this could be $1,000 more, it was instead of 5,000, I give him 6,000. Then he has to give me back the whole 1,000. If I give him $500 more, it's a mechila.
So it's bittul menka. You take the thing back also.
Well, we're going to discuss. And exactly as shtos, we paskin. It's not a bittul menka. You just get your money back. More, you see, Yosef shtos is bittul menka.
So 6 would be Yosef.
We'll see. There's a machlokes. We're going to see. Rabbi Danasi says there is a bit of what? What are you asking?
If it's 6, this guy's trick, and the guy could.
But the buyer has the option at least. You could say, I don't want to bit the megach. I want to keep the megach. You just have to give me back my whole full extra, whatever you gave me.
Okay.
So the Gemara says, let's see this inside. We're going to have the same exact story twice. Identical story twice. Just instead of 5, it's 50. Also, Gavra Valmar, you have the Chamish Palgo, have Mechilo, Etenly Shita, I'll give him 6, Ben Beladina, I'll bring him to the entire. Also, the Rabbi, the Rob. The whole problem of Oina is when you purchase from a seller. But if you purchase from a private person, the guy is allowed to charge you for the scarf 6, 7, 8. There's no Oina by a private person. And the Gemara is going to explain later why. Same exact story, word for word. He was selling earrings. Let's get to the earring picture. There we go. Beautiful. He's selling earrings for $60, $60,000. There's another guy selling earrings. That's from Kedushin. This might be better. He was screaming out 60, but it's really only worth 50. If you would offer him 55, have a shokal, he would have taken. Also, so a guy comes, if I give him 55, I'm moichel him. And then I'll give him 60 and I'll take him to the entire. So he brings it up, you lose. Mamish, a terrible, terrible day. He could have gotten away by paying 55, but he paid him 60 because he thought he'll get him good. At the end, Bezdin said no. Not only that, he had to go to Bezdin, and Bezdin said, you lost. It was a whole business. He had one of the worst days of his life. I was like, perfect. He said it well. Great. As the Gemara, we're going to learn in 2 seconds in the Mishnah. There is no enough for a private person. No? What does hedi mean? It means a private person. There's no enough when you buy a car from a private citizen. It depends what you're selling. If he's selling something that he doesn't care about, undershirts, some cheap thing made out of canvas, says Rashi, then there's enough. Alamone, but let's say it's a beautiful suit. The Eli, he loves it. I'll give you a mashal. Somebody once wrote me an email, said I have a great idea to raise money for MDY. Auction off your Gemara. Buy Gemara, this one, right over here. Auction it off. Starting bid, whatever, $1,000, he said. So I said back, I said, no way. To me, this Gemara is worth $100,000. I don't know what. It doesn't have a price for me. I have my artist and I spend all day with it. This is my baby. When I finish it, it's my trophy. I put it on my shelf. I look at it all the time. I say, look, we did bracha, Shabbos, Pesachim, the whole sukkah, Baba Kama. 50 Daf in the Bava Metzia. I want to sell this thing for $10,000. This is my Yerusha. This is what I'm going to give my kids. Eli, it doesn't have any. Somebody offers me for this. What does this cost? 90 shekel. I don't know how much it costs. $30, let's say. Somebody offers me 60. That's me. No. For me, this is worth $100,000. You want it? That's what you have to pay. So, money. This suit that you spend a lot of time on, and you were very, very careful with it, costs you a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort. There's no market for it. You decide the market.
Sentimental.
What?
Sentimental.
So it depends if the guy's advertising it for sale or not advertising for sale.
I don't know if that makes a difference. We're gonna see soon. A guy can say straight out, I know that this is worth 100, I'll sell it to you for 200. That's what I want. There's no enough. For a private person. Says the Heilige Mishnah. There's no difference if you're the buyer or the seller. Even a buyer, he could rip off the seller. You could go into the store, the guy knows the price and everything, but you could fool him and pressure him into selling you something for a shtus less. And you're over, I know. So we just had this. That there's even for a private citizen. So we said it depends on what. If it's just tzadriyasa, like canvas stuff, yes. Rabbi Doimer in another tagar. Rabbi says that there's no enough for a seller. He knows the price. The one that gets dinged, the one that loses out, he's the one that makes the decisions. Rotza, this is very important. This word right here, rotza. What does rotza mean? Rotza means he makes decisions. He has the option. He has two ways to go about this. What could he do? He could say, I'm out of here. Give me back my money. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Or he could say, I like this car. Just give me the 16.6% difference, and we're good. So there's options. Rotza. Leulei, tell me ma'isi. Tell me mashinisani. Give me the oina part, or give me all my money back. How do we know that oina goes both directions? Here's the pasuk. Very, very simple. It says in the pasuk, Altoinu means do not do oina. And what does the pasuk say? Whether you're mechira or whether you're kinyan, whether you're buying or selling, even the buyer should not trick the seller. It's hard to understand. I mean, he knows the price. Can't pressure him.
So when you go to the shuk, how do you know like how far you can bargain?
There's a market. Exactly. There's a market price. What it goes for, finished. I don't know exactly. We don't know the market, but there is a market price. And if the seller says, you know what, I got all tied up into the negotiating, and I forgot that I bought it for 100 and I sold it to you for 90. Or I, whatever it is, I sold it to you for 80.
You can cancel it.
So I need you either to pay me the difference or give me back the item, whatever. I want you to pay me.
But can you lose on a 16% also? Or?
16%, you get back the money. I'll tell you. I see that says Mimka, Simkuru. Nisana Moicher Minayin. How do I know that it goes in the direction of the seller? It says the guy purchasing also. So where it says I need both because the seller knows exactly how much it's worth. But the buyer, he has no idea. He went to the shop. He doesn't know. He's just negotiating. Maybe he's not over on the issur of Aina because when a person buys something, they great. Somebody that sells something, he loses out the amri inshe because people say zabein oivid. When you sell, you lose. Maybe the Torah did not warn you, did not say that you're over. What's going on here? Rashi explains, very interesting. When you sell something, you what do you have in your hand? Cash. Cash is no good. Why? Because cash you usually spend. When you purchase an item, a good item, not like a car, something good. So now you have a good item. You bought a piece of silver. Now you have a piece of silver. When you sell your silver, what do you have? Cash. Cash is no good. All of a sudden disappears. A guy that owns a gemach said that he does two chasadim. He does chesed because he lends money to people. But he also does another chesed. He takes people's money. Sometimes people have a yerusha or something. So you give it to him. He has a little extra money at the end of the month. You give it to him. He's saving this guy because when you have money sitting around, what do? You spend it. All of a sudden, what happened to my yerusha? Oops, I don't know. It's gone. Like this, you know what? It's in the gemach. You do chesed with it. When you need it, you'll go get it. If it's sitting in the bank, you just go, you take your card, swipe, pull out money, it's gone. When it's in the gemach, it's a little harder. You have to find the guy. He's not open now. He's closed. He doesn't have the money. Come back at the end of the month. The Maisa is doing chesed with your money. He's helping you save. I just want to make one ha'ara here. I think it's important that a lot of people have credit card debt, right? And if you think about it, it's kind of silly. Why? Because you're only getting to that debt once. And then you're stuck in that debt and you're paying that 18% interest, whatever interest. It's in the mind. Because if you tell yourself, the credit card debt doesn't keep on going. The credit cards allow you $50,000. Okay, then you're done. Whatever it is, that's your limit. $10,000, $50,000, you're done. But on that 50, you're paying and paying every single year over and over. You're just paying for the rest of your life. If you say that limit is up here at the zero, you never go below the zero, you never get into the debt, then you save all that interest. It's basically in the mind. I'm serious. I know people that say, hey, we're never going to go into that debt. If you could go unlimited, you take 50 this month, and next month you take another 50, next month another 50, and you're living that, okay, so every month you just keep on going until a person leaves this world and he has $5 million in debt. Okay.
The answer is call up your credit cards and use a debit card. You don't want to go into that.
I'm saying it's basically in the mind. You tell yourself that do not go below that line. I know it's difficult. But all you have to do it is once, because once you go below, then you're stuck at the below. You're there. You hear what I'm saying or not? I don't know if I explained it well.
You can't spend more than you can pay that month, basically.
No, because you can only go into that debt once. So don't go into that debt. It's not unlimited. So if you don't go into that debt, then you don't have that interest. And if you think about how much interest goes on that small amount of debt, it's crazy. They're taking 15, 18, 22%. I don't know what to think. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Doimer, ain't another tagor. No, people say, oh, big talker. He has all this real estate. He doesn't need it. No, I used to have credit card debt. I didn't care. Okay, so I have the real estate. I have a credit card. Then I said, wait a minute. What am I doing? Paid off, never get into that, and that's it. It's in the mind. I just let it go for a long time, for years. Had all this credit card, that credit card. I'd rather use the money on real estate, and so just leave it. No, get rid of it, and then you never have to go into it again. So if you think about it yourself, what would you say? Does a person who sells stuff for a living, does he have more of a reason to get a refund if he made a mistake, or less of a reason? What do you guys say?
The guy that's selling should know. He should be educated.
He should know. He should be educated. But on the other hand, that's his parnasa. He can't afford to lose and give something away for free. That's what he does for a living.
Nobody can afford to be cheated.
He gives some things for free as long as he's making more than he's losing. He's getting it for free.
Okay, so believe it or not, there's a machlokes about it. It goes both ways. I'm just saying there's a svara in both ways. I hear what you're saying, and that's maybe what most people would say. Says the Gemara, there's no enough for a seller. Ask the Gemara, explain what you're talking about. Because he's a seller, there's no enough? No, Omer Rav Nachman Rab, no, in the name of Rab, B'tagor Safsor Shalom. The opposite. Because he's a seller, he should know what he's doing, and he knows what he's doing, so there's a mechila over here. We're talking about a guy who sells and buys all the time. He flips. My time, he's the middleman. He knows exactly how much his stuff is worth, and he's moichel. Why is he doing all this mechila? He needs cash right now. He sees a great deal on the side of the market right over there. Let me raise cash by selling cheap. Let me run over there and get that deal. Don't worry about it. And now he takes it back. Rabashi Omar, the exact opposite of Rabashi says. What does it mean that a seller doesn't have enough? He doesn't have to go to 16% to get his money back. If he was ripped off by 5% and he's a seller, you have to return the money to him. Why? That's his parnasa. But Tani goes to the Rav Nachman. We have a right to everybody here in the room. There's no enough for a seller because he knows the prices, he knows what he's doing. Zechurah, that the seller, the opposite, he doesn't deserve to get a refund. Not all sellers. The sellers that flip quickly. Says in the Mishnah, the one who got dinged by the price increase, he has the option. Says the Gemara, Mani Masnisa. This Mishnah, who does it go according to? Leulei Reb Nosson, Leulei Reb Yehuda Nasi. Reb Nosson is the one that says here. Let's see inside. Here. Reb Nosson says that if you made a mistake by a shtus, 16.6%, there's a sale. The sale exists. You can't break the sale, but you get your money back. Reb Yehuda Nasi says, Rebbe says that the guy that gets dinged, he has an option. He could say there's no sale if he wants, or he could say there is a sale. Says the Gemara. Our Mishnah doesn't go not according to Reb Nosson and not according to Reb Yehuda Nasi. Why? Here Reb Nosson masnising tani rot. So there's an option. Reb Nosson says there's no option, so it can't be Reb Nosson. Bryce like Tony Russell. Our mission is talking about the purchaser. Why? Because it says, "Give me my money." What does Tell mean? I'm the purchaser. I gave you money. Give me my money back. So we're talking about the purchaser, not the seller. Bryce like Tony Michael. Everyone else is talking about the Bryce. So it's interesting because I noticed that it says over here, Rebbe Nasi. So I asked the Belzer. I said, throughout Shas, his name is Rebbe. Rebbe HaKadosh. Rebbe. All of a sudden, sometimes, once in a while, it says Rebbe Nasi. So he tells me, right off the cuff, he says, because he knows Shas inside out. He said, notice that every time it says Reb Nassan, it says Rebbe Nasi. Interesting, because now it says Reb Nassan. And he explained, he says, maybe, because Reb Nassan, I forgot what he said it was, Reb Nassan wanted to grab the Nasius. He wanted to be the Nasi himself from Reb Shimon Gamliel. So it says over here, Reb Yehuda Hanasi. Reb Yehuda is the Nasi, not you, Reb Nassan. Okay. Just thought that was interesting. The way he said it so quickly. So we have a problem. We have two shittas. Go here, check out the chart. We have Reb Nassan who says that the Mekach is Chal. There is a sale, just he gets his 16% back. Rebbe says he has an option, but who has the option? The seller. And in the Mishnah says it's the buyer. The Kitzer, our Mishnah doesn't go not like Reb Nassan, not like Reb Yehuda. So what do? Simin Zavrash is the Rosh. It's like the names, the four names that are going to say a teretz. Omer Reb Elazar. Here's the Zayin from Reb Elazar. Oyna zu eni yedem Mishnah. You're right. I don't know who Shita is. Okay, easy. I don't know. He gives up. Rabbi Reb Nassan. It goes according to Reb Nassan. But we said our Mishnah says there's an option. Reb Nassan says there's no option. You're right. So here it goes like this. In the Brisa, you have to say that there's an option. It didn't say there's an option. We have to stick in the word there's an option. It goes according to Rebbe Nasi. Hold on, let me see. Here, this is Rabba, which is Rabba. Rabba says you have to stick in the red word, Ratza Kaina. If he wants to, he could. If he doesn't want to, he doesn't have to.
The last two slides didn't come up on the screen.
On what? On YouTube? You're on YouTube?
On YouTube, yeah.
Which two slides?
It's still showing the slide that
The
says
left.
Rami Yad Mochar Al Yonah. That one's still up there.
You see like the left side of it, but not the right side. Right.
Over here also?
Yeah.
Well, no. I think I see it well. Oh. We'll probably update or something. I wouldn't worry about it. Later on, it should show what I'm showing now. Okay. I don't have numbers. Unfortunately, the slides aren't numbered. I forgot to number them. Anyway, so this is Rabba. We're going to make a little fix here that in the Bryce it says that according to Reb Nassan, there is an option. Rava Omar, and now we go to the slide where it says Rava on top. Rava Omar, the slide before we were talking about it says Rava on top, now it says Rava. Now what? Leulei Rebbe Yehuda Nasi. Our Mishnah is Rebbe Yehuda Nasi. Makes a lot of sense. Who wrote the Mishnah? Rebbe Yehuda Nasi. Uman Deshayr Masnisin, Komefarish Bebraisa. What he left out in the Mishnah, the Braisa explains. In other words, the Mishnah and the Braisa are talking about both could take it back, the buyer, the seller, or because it starts saying in our Mishnah both the buyer and the seller, but then it only finishes off talking about the seller. The buyer. In fact, we wanted to explain both the buyer and the seller, so we left that for the Braisa to explain. Shema Mino. Okay. Here we have a brand new sugya. Where do I want to say this? Okay. I don't know. Leave it in here. Idmar. Could you put up a sign on your store saying, "This is rip-off city. I will be ripping you off. If you come in here, come in on your own." What's the word?
Will.
Risk.
On your own risk. Purchase here at your own risk. We don't care about it enough. Sign. Big sign. Can you do that?
No.
Why not?
Because it's against the Torah. You can't write.
It's masna mashikas b'Torah. Very good. But not everybody holds that. You could you tell your wife, for instance, you're marrying her, but you're not gonna give her any food or any clothing. Can you do that?
There's a loophole in there.
She can tell
It's
you.
actually a focus.
She can tell you.
The Torah says you have to give your wife share zechus and oina. Could you tell your wife, "I'm marrying you on condition I'm not giving you any of those things"?
No.
It's machlokes. Itmar, oina. I am selling you stuff. You can't come to me afterwards and say, "Hey, you want a refund." Rav says you can't do such a thing. Ushmul Amar, you could make a stipulation like that. Perhaps Rav and Shmuel, maybe they argue in an old machlokes of Tanaim, of Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda. A person tells a woman, "Let's get married, but I'm not gonna support you, and I'm not paying for any of your clothing. I heard you have some crazy habits. Forget it. I'm not doing that. I have no relations with you." The kedushin is a good kedushin. The marriage is great, and his condition flies out the window. He must support her and he must give her everything. Why? Because Rabbi Meir holds there's something called masna mashikas b'Torah. You're not allowed to make a condition against the Torah. Torah says you have to give a woman these three things. You give her. Rabbi Yehuda says 2 out of the 3 things you could stipulate. The 2 things that have to do with monetary obligations: support and clothing. Oh, so in our mission also, so in this machlokes, can you say there's no enough? Well, it depends. If you're Rebbe Yehuda, when it comes to monetary things, you could stipulate, so you stipulate it. What's the problem? So Rebbe Yehuda and Shmuel line up. Rebbe Meir says you can't tell a wife such a thing, so he lines up with Rav, or Rav lines up with Rebbe Meir. Rav could tell you, and the Gemara, Abai is going to say, "I don't like this," but right now the Gemara says, "I know that I'm Rebbe Yehuda." No, maybe I, Rav, that say that you cannot stipulate and put up a sign in your store that you could overcharge. I hold like Rabbi Yehuda that you can tell a wife, "I'm not going to give you any food." Why did Rabbi Yehuda say that you could do that by a wife? Because she knows what she's getting into and she's moichel. She says, "You know what? I have more money than you. I don't need your cereal. I don't need your stuff. I'll buy my own things." But over here, he doesn't know. This is just a sign of the story. He doesn't know how much he's giving up. He doesn't know how much he's getting ripped off. Maybe the guy's charging him 100% more than usual. I don't know. How could he make such a night? Shmuel Omar, Amud Beis. Shmuel Omar, I know that I could even go according to Meir. I can like Meir says it doesn't work by kiddushin. It's because he's definitely taking away 3 things that the Torah says you have to give. Even Rashi says, even if later on he does support his wife, it doesn't count. Why? Because it's like a gift. But he made a deal with her. He's not going to support her. But who says in this case of the purchase that there'll be or no? The sponsors for turning the daf, Kidnovations, in honor of my uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman, and as zchus for Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga, official mitzvah motivators in honor of the limans for sponsoring Sfarim for the daily Torah learning by the Gewurtzman brothers, for our yahrzeits of our grandfathers, Hachaver Moshe Ben Yerachmila Shalom, and Rav Eliezer Moshe Ben Shema Zatzal. I want to remind the Olam to please have in mind for the safe return of our soldiers, for our pilots. It's a terrible. You're taking a 20-year-old and you're asking him to fly over a very, very dangerous country and to bombard them and to do all these things and to ask them to come back in one piece. They should come back safely and not less important that everybody in Eretz Yisrael should not have the fear. They should live in peace. And it's hard to understand, Pasha, to live without any daigas, to just not worry about missiles and rockets and sirens. The pachad, in the middle of the night, I was asleep, and to hear, boom, a crazy explosion, and your wife wakes you up, what just happened? The pachad. It's unbelievable. You can't understand it until you're there. Shouldn't have any of that pachad. Says the Gemara. Omar Rabbanon. Rabbanon says, I heard from Shmuel himself. He told it to me. So Shmuel, let me explain to you. Depends how you worded it. It's all about how you say it. If you tell your friend, I'm selling you something on condition there's no enough, there's no enough. But when you say there is no, this item doesn't have enough, in other words, what you're saying is, I'm not ripping you off, but you did rip him off, then there is enough. You can't tell somebody, if you tell somebody, there's no hilchos enough, we're not going to go with the rules of enough. Okay, so there's no rules of enough. We both agree that we're going to forgive each other. But if you tell your friend, I didn't take 16.6% more than the market, but you did, so you're a liar. So then I can get my money back. When I say that I'm promising you that the price is a good price, then return the money. The question is, we're going to talk about it a little bit more later, but I hire somebody to sell my product. And this is what's important to us. This line right over here. You tell your friend, I'm selling you this on condition that there is no oina. There is no oina. The big problem is, Rav says there is oina. When you stipulate such a thing, it doesn't work. It's like you were saying, it's mashal much the question of the Torah. Says the Gemara, we try to say before the Rav could position himself according to both Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda that argues on me, he only argues when it comes to Kedushin, but not. So if Rav goes according to everybody, over here it says Mufurish ein loy olav eina. There is no eina. Rav says there is yes eina. So what do we do? We have to go back to the original Pshat in the Gemara. That what? Rav here. Oh, you know what? I forgot to show this. Baruch Hashem, I remember now. Look, before the Gemara said that Rav and Shmuel, Rav says there is no enough. If you stipulate there's no enough, there is enough. And Shmuel says if you stipulate there's no enough, there's no enough. You could stipulate, you can make a t'nai against the Torah, sort of. So the Gemara wants to line it up with Rav says like Rameir in Kedushin that you cannot stipulate to your wife that you won't give her zchusim. And Shmuel lines up with the Rebbe that says you could. Says Abaye, we have to go back to this. Before, the Gemara said that Rav can go both like Rabbi Meir and both like Rabbi Yehuda. But if that's the case, we can't explain this Bryce. Who does it go according to? We're lost. Rav is lost. So Rav is going to say, no, I hold like Rabbi Meir and Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yehuda. This Bryce goes like Rabbi Yehuda. It's not a problem. Let's go back to the original. The what Rav Amar Meir, like this chart. Rav lines up just with Rav Meir, not with Rabbi Yehuda. Ushmul Amar Rabbi Yehuda. And what's the Bryce when the Bryce says there is no eina? I cannot stipulate it. And Rav says there is yes eina. And I could stipulate against the Torah because the Bryce it goes according to Rabbi Yehuda. It says you can stipulate against the Torah. When it comes to monetary things, Rav Amar stop. When a person doesn't explain how much this is, he says, here, you want this bottle here, it's $25. If you don't say, you don't explain that you know, then you have to take it back. I'm sorry, then you take it back. When you explain specifically, then you say specifically, look, this bottle is $1, I'm selling you for $25. You want it? Take it. Here, this is a great example. Let's say you're on a date. You want this tissue? You have a runny nose? You want this tissue? $10. It's worth it. You go into a business meeting. You want it? $10. You makabel. You're mefarish, then it's okay. You're not mefarish, then you have to give the money back. When is there enough? But if I stipulate and I say straight out, I'm selling to you. I say straight out, this item that I'm selling to you, I'm selling you 200. Your daddy, I know for a fact it's not worth 100. It's only worth 100. I'm selling it to you for 200. I'm not saying there is no enough because I explained it to you. And sold to a buyer. I know you're on hard times. I know that what you're selling is worth 200. I'm only going to give you 100. That's not enough. I'm not saying enough. Great. And now a very small sugya until the Mishnah, and then we're going to finish for today. How many minutes are we? 50 minutes. Okay. Goes like this. A person gives somebody else on consignment. Take my stuff, sell it on consignment. So he could either give it to him, you could give him a certain price right now, I'm going to give you X amount of money, and the rest of the money give me. Or you could say, look, if you make any profit, you take the profit. So, I give you merchandise to sell on consignment. Says Rashi like this, very simple. I give you 2 barrels of wine. One is great wine, extremely easy to sell. One is very difficult to sell. So I make a deal with you. I say, look, you sell this barrel of wine, and you're going to sell it in one day. Take all that money, do whatever you want with it for a month. This barrel of wine is going to take you a month to sell. When you sell out the second barrel, then give me all the money. What am I paying you? I'm just letting you use the money from one barrel. The first barrel, I'm letting you use the money for a whole month. What is that called? Ribbis. You are working for me because you get money from that barrel of wine. Getting money from the barrel of wine. And now you're using that money for yourself. You're not allowed to do that. Pay him for the work, whatever, but don't say that the payment comes in the form of using this cash for a whole month. That looks like ribbis. Either pay him for his work, or give him the profits. However, if somebody works for you like that, you give him money for carrying it, give him money for the camel, for the taxis, for the hotels, but you don't pay him for his work, for himself. Why? You already paid him in full. Says Gemara, what do you mean you paid him in full? We had this word before. It means the canvas shirts, undershirts, whatever they are, simple things. Because it's typical for a person to give a worker like this 4 out of 100. He works for 4%. That's his payment. So for that, you don't have to give him. For payment, you don't have to give him. You do have to pay him for the hotel, for this and that. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow at 2:00 Be'ezer Hashem.